All right, we live.
All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Right? And a sincere shalom to all the hopefully elect that scattered abroad. You know, we're the brothers from Philadelphia. All right, GMS Plaintables coming at you once again to the power spirit of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. You know, the fellowship to spiritually communicate not only amongst ourselves, but, you know, to all the Lord's hopefully elect out there for, you know, our sake of edification as well as the, you know, the edification of the viewers, you know, and that's just our job. You know, we've been made a prophet, Jeremiah 1:5. We just start there and build off that. You know, it's an open forum, but the mindset is coming into these last times, you know, we don't know how many more times we're going to be able to, you know, get together like this. So, you know, we want to not take these things for granted and take advantage of the time while we still have it. And that's true in all aspects of this truth, not just in brotherhood and fellowship, but as far as doing the work is concerned, and as far as getting ourselves right before the coming of Yahweh Shai. So, you know, that's kind of the mindset and the inspiration for this lesson. You know, previously, or prior to starting off the lesson, you know, that's the mindset right now. So we start off with Jeremiah 1:5 and build off that.
This is Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
Right. So the Most High has particular, you know, men, you know, because the Lord's governmental body consists of the elect men. And, you know, we're hoping to be a part of that number. And as Apostle Gabar always emphasizes, you know, this thing is about election, but before that's determined, right, it's about that calling that we have received. And we have most definitely received the calling. If we, you know, call ourselves being in the faith, being in truth, understanding these prophecies and calling on the names of our power, which is Yahweh, that's the Most High's name, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai, then we have definitely been called. We've been called to do this work, to do this ministry, all right? And so part of that ministering is to tell the nations their judgment, and that's really what we're doing. You know, we're communicating to the world the judgments that are written in this book. So continue.
Then said I, Ah, Lord Yahweh, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child.
And we've all been in a position of being, you know, spiritual babes, you know, ultimately, you know, and there was a point where the Lord, you know, had that mercy and woke us up. Essentially, we heard the words. You know, some of us heard that we were Israelites. Some of us heard that we were, you know, America was going to be destroyed. You know, whatever it is that we heard, that's when the faith of the Lord became, you know, made unto us. You know, the Lord opened up our mind to certain things, and that's kind of what started our journey into this walk of faith. You know, but irregardless to, you know, what we heard first, all right, right now at this point, we've been risen up to do the work. We've been risen up to proclaim the judgment of the Heavenly Father. So, you know, that's what we're going to do, man, until the end, Lord's will. So that's really it on that. That precept.
This is Amos chapter 7, verse 14.
And if brothers got points to make, or they just want to go ahead and elaborate, you know, go ahead and chime in there.
It's Amos 7 and 14. It says, Then answered Amos and said to Amaziah, I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was a herdman and a gatherer of sycamore tree fruit. So he said, Then the Lord took me as I followed the flock, and Yahweh said unto me, Go prophesy unto my people Israel.
God, go prophesy unto my people Israel. So that's the commandment, you know. That's what we've been sent forth to do, to prophesy, meaning to foretell. And, you know, we know the prophecies. That's our power, is to know what is to come in the days ahead and to understand the time that we're living in. All right? 1 Thessalonians 5. So we know of the times, you know, and that's not to say that we know when Yahweh Shai is specifically coming. As the scriptures say, no man knoweth the day, no, nor the hour, no, not even the Son of Man, right? Right, in heaven. So we understand that we're close. We understand that, as the scriptures say, that there's going to be a time that has never been seen before, right, going into Jacob's trouble, and that the fashion in which we're going to be able to identify these things is through what the Lord said. You know, diverse earthquakes, uproars of the people, rumors of wars, and we see all that. We see the beginnings of famine. We see the beginnings of great death. We see the beginnings of race riots. You know, and that's all written about in the scriptures. You know, and this is all going to happen, you know, to its full degree. You know, we've been introduced to certain aspects of the prophecies, but now we're at a point where we're in the midst of a lot of major prophecies, and they're all coming, you know, it's all coming together, right? Ultimately, for what? The mark of the beast and World War III, you know, those two major prophecies. So we're telling you about them things. We're warning you according to what the Most High said. You know, warn my people. So, you know, it's whether you hear it or bear it. You know, most Jake is going to fan the hand, or they're going to, you know, wait till it's much too late before they can repent. Because right now you have an ability to repent. Right now you have the ability to do your due diligence and research these things and you know, build that relationship up with the power. But there's going to be coming a time where, you know, you either got this or you don't. And if you don't, you're going to be out there basically with nothing. Nothing except for your own mind, you know, your own will and wit, which isn't going to get you very far, man. Because you see, the minds of these people are very, very weak, you know. And instead of running under the shadow of the Almighty, instead of coming to Yahweh Yahushua for help and deliverance, they're going to go to the enemy as they have been. You know, that's what they've been trained and, you know, basically molded to do. Because of lack of faith, you know, curses, and ultimately the Most High has a desire onto his elect right now. So. You got one? Then, okay, go ahead.
It's Titus 1:1. It says, Paul, his servant of the power, and an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach, according to the faith of the powers elect and the acknowledging of the truth which is after godliness. It says, in hope of eternal life, which the power that cannot lie promised before the world began, that but hath in due time manifested his word through preaching, which is committed unto me according to the commandment of our Lord, our Savior.
Colonel, can you read that again? It's pretty weighty, man.
The last verse?
The last two verses.
In hope of eternal life, it's Titus 1 and 2. In hope of eternal life, which the power that cannot lie promised before the foundation,
right,
like before the world began.
Right, and the Lord did promise us, okay? See, the promises are pretty much everything, man. Promises aren't going to be disannulled, man. Before the foundations of the world, the Lord chose and preordained, you know, everything. You know, remember it's written that He has declared everything, declared the end from the beginning. So, you know, everything is due in proper time, and it's amazing that the Lord, from the very beginning, you know, promised us that hope. You know, when we understand that if we be those men, if we be the elect, we're not, you know, 100%. All right, and that's really not because, you know, we don't have confidence. It's because we fear the Lord and understand that it's really according to His own will, His own desire. But nevertheless, we have such a strong hope in the Most High because of what He said, and we know it to be true. And that's going back from the beginning, right? Because He preordained everything from the beginning. He said everything in accordance to His will in the very beginning. Who was going to be saved, who was going to be destroyed, right? Who was going to receive the truth, who was going to be His ministers, His prophets.
And the word promise means to announce that one is about to do or furnish something. Promise.
God.
It says that hath in due times manifested His word through preaching.
Manifested His word through preaching. So He made known His judgments, His word, His commandments through the power of speaking, through preaching. All right, and it's only been committed unto His prophets. All right, which really is the apostles and the elders, beginning with them on down to us younger brothers, because we believe ourselves to be ministers and prophets as well. Being that we have been given a certain level of faith, certain abilities in the spirit, okay, and that we have faith and believe and are able to, go into this book, and the Lord opens up our mind to certain levels of understanding so we can, make, as the scriptures say, these things to be easily understood. We believe we're the prophets. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is telling you about the pen and destruction, the pen and judgments. Everybody else is acting like these things aren't happening, or they're not going to happen in their lifetime, or if they're happening, it's only to a certain degree, a certain extent that they're able to, really explain these things to you. So they don't really got it like that,
This is Romans 10 and 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
And so it is a requirement, according to the standards and order of the Yahweh Yahushua, that men, that have been given his spirit to be sent forth to prophesy and to break this book down. And it's not your pastor in the church, it's not, your leaders here in America, or congressmen, or judges, or any of these individuals. None of these individuals that got so-called power in this world. The Lord said that he don't give his word, unto the proud, right? Come, you can get it. So the Lord is very calculative as to who he decided would get and receive this word and teach it, right? Who would get it and receive it and believe, and then everybody else, is going to basically be destroyed for the lack of faith and lack of understanding. But they can't understand, they can't hear, they can't believe in the things that they've never heard of before. So the Lord made a requirement that certain men would get it, and they'd have to have the responsibility as well as obligation to go out and teach. And then at that point, once the word is delivered unto you, it's up to the Most High whether or not he wants to give you that increase. We don't have no power over that. Go ahead.
And
Or Slacky, was there more to that before we move on?
Yeah, but you can go out.
Okay.
the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, and starting at verse, and I'm gonna start this long, but starting at verse 19. It says, "For it's written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the strength? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not the power of the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world?"
Yeah, man, and it's funny because everything that people have invested themselves in this world is really coming to naught. Like, these different top scientists and biologists and historians and alike, all these top prominent people in society are all being found out to be liars, man. They're all being found out. Like, there's not one thing, as the scriptures say, that is hid that won't be revealed. We're finding out about, how evil, this man really is, the character of this man. And we're finding out how evil our people are by abiding under his dominion, and how they're choosing his ways, and how they gravitate into that left-hand side under this Edomite. So the Most High really has made the understanding and the wisdom of this world foolish, because it's failing them, and it's failing them in a dramatic and major way, to the point where people are really beginning to ask questions. I saw a video just last night. It was on Fox News, and it was with Ben Carson. He was doing an interview. Yeah, and he basically openly admitted that this was a planned economic crisis. He just came out and said it, and then he tried to cover it back up. And, he's part of that, those Israelites that have sold their souls, and he's juiced in, so he knows certain things. Now whether or not, the Spirit ultimately made him say those things, but the comments is what was more interesting than him finally maybe telling an inkling the truth in his life. It was more, for me anyways, what was more interesting was all the comments that followed. It's like, yeah, we already know that this is planned. We already know that they're trying to, bring in that new world order. They're trying to institute that cryptocurrency. So the comments were very interesting because it was, a trend. The majority of those comments, people were seeing things for how they truly are, And so that's another indicator that we're at the time of the end. You know, because these people are really going to be looking for answers. They're going to be crying for wine in the streets, and they're not going to be able to get it. You know, these people are such skeptics that, you know, they can't believe their own government. They're not going to believe in the prophets, so they're going to take up whatever's in their own mind, and it's going to get them destroyed. Whether they be heathen, which they're already destined to be destroyed and go into slavery anyway. But primarily focusing on Jacob, they're going to take up their own thoughts, you know, in that self-preservationist mindset, and it's going to get them killed. Because they're going to choose all the wrong things. They're going to choose the ways of the oppressor, even in their mind of rebellion, even in their mind of you know, being against the so-called white man. When push comes to shove, they're going to choose his ways and be destroyed. You know? Or because they didn't trust in the Most High, they're going to be destroyed. Either way, without putting your faith in the right things, you're going to be destroyed. So the Most High has truly made the wisdom of this world foolish, man. Alright? From these pastors to these preachers, and that mainly right there is how the world's been confounded. Because what everybody used to think about as far as what the Lord looked like, what his characteristics were, who his people are, we've blown a hole through the Spirit, of course, wide open as far as those lies are concerned. Like, we really, through the Spirit, been pulling down those strongholds. Of course, beginning with our apostles and elders. You know, but brothers been going in deep on certain topics, man, and you know, linking up with the scriptures, and have been really blowing this thing wide open, so to speak, you know? So that goes again to show you who the men of the Lord are.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, they're gonna speak prophecy, and of course, you know, doctrine gonna come down from heaven. You know, of course, revealed through Yahushua, which Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy.
That's it.
So those that are the true prophets will speak prophecy, and they know, of course, where it comes from that. Right? You have guys out here that refuse to acknowledge what is going on. They refuse to have the answers what actually is going on. And if they do have the answers, it ain't in line with what prophecy says.
Right.
Right? It's actually, they fit the false prophets, not the true prophets.
Right.
Right? So we're going to see who, of course, who the Lord shows us. Right? Who's faithful and true. Right? I got a quick precept now to finish back at Corinthians.
Yeah.
Alright, this is real quick. Nahum chapter 3 and 1. It says, woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not.
Yeah, now the bloody city is speaking about America, and the prey are you Israelites, man, and you depart not. Alright? And that's the thing, these Edomites, their main objective is to destroy you. Alright, because the whether or not the police or, you know, local, you know, legislators and things alike, you know, the power structure, even the lower dominions of this power structure, whether or not they realize we're the Israelites, the ones that run everything, they do know. So that's how these things are passed down, you know? These different laws that are made, you know, you have these banks basically paying lobbyists to go before these, you know, congressmen and legislators that are actually passing these laws to help keep us in debt and dependent on, you know, this American system, which has been designed to keep us in captivity, and it has destroyed us. That's why our people are so far gone, man. You got something to say? Meditating on it? Yeah, man, our people are just destroyed, you know, they have no heritage. Because they believe in oppression, they believe in the lies of the so-called white man. Esau, Edom, and it's just true, man. From the hip-hop culture, to rap culture, to, man, yeah, just everything, man, just Jake is just, hey, man, it is what it is. They have to play their roles to 2/3, but, you know, the point has to be made that it's what's in the mindset of Jake right now. It's just they more focused on becoming comfortable in a place that constantly, like, okay, for instance, you had the shooting of the so-called, you know, jogger, right? I forget the dude's name, like Omir, was it? Aubrey, yes, Arbery or something like that, Arbery? Khan, and two Edomites, and you know what? Whether or not he was doing something wrong or doing something right, I mean, these two Edomites literally chased this guy down and gunned him down. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't take a long investigation. You know, right? Ahmad Arbery. Okay. It shouldn't take a long methodical investigation to see that what they did was kill this guy, right? But they want to, and that also this plays in part of the prophecy where you're going to have race riot because supposedly there was a retaliation here in Delaware where this Jake shot 2 elderly Edomites. And that was an article that had came out today, where this Jake killed 2 Edomite elderly individuals in so-called retaliation for the death of this particular Israelite. But the point is you have all this, and Jake Still's mindset is, oh, that's despicable that would happen, but not all white people are bad, or we can't. It's just like that. It's never ending with Jake. They just still ain't getting that we have enemies. We can go on and on and on and point out all the craziness that Jake comes up with in his mind, but that is just ridiculous, man. Like, so what's gonna have to happen is these Jakes are just gonna have to be put to death, and they're gonna be put to death by Esau. Through that. That's why there's gonna be Jacob's trouble, because that's what it's gonna take for Jacob to finally get it. To summarize, recap.
I got a quick one. This is Habakkuk chapter 1:13. It reads, "Thou art of pure eyes, then to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that dealest treacherously, and holdest thy tongue when the wicked devour the man more righteous than he."
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, like the Israelites, we were designed to be perfect and upright people, and a lot of times we're not even really doing any wrong, but because of the curses, because of judgments that we do, we're gonna get pursued by our enemies, the Chaldeans, the Edomites, the workers of iniquity. All right, you're gonna be in that right place in that right time, and the judgment gonna go out. But these people that are the Lord set up is our whooping stick, and the Lord sent them, of course, to punish us and such. So that Jake, he not righteous,
right?
Meaning, of course, we're all sinners, but we are the perfect, the nation of Israel. Okay, and these they have, of course, a judgment that is going to be issued out for them for, of course, coming and shooting at the perfect, coming against the nation of Israel. All right, with all these snares and nets, you can't even run. They so-called say it's a free country, but then when you go about just trying to mind your own, you're being hunted down like the prey. That's why I said the prey part is not. Jake still think they can do whatever they want to be in this country, and he, especially in these times, going to show you that this ain't your place to be at rest.
Yeah, Jake's mindset, the rest of the country ain't like this.
Kind.
Every day, Jake is getting shot down by the oppressor, man. Whether you know it or whether it's publicized or not, it's happening every day and day. And then people want to try to throw in that so-called reverse racism, and well, look it. They don't know how to. Basically don't know how to spiritually discern anything. They want to throw stats in there to try to minimalize our oppression. Like, well, they'll start saying stuff like the amount of so-called black people that kill black people here in this country far exceeds the amount of white people that kill black people in this country. You know what I mean? And let's play devil's advocate, so to speak. Let's say, even if that's hypothetically true, that there's more Jake on Jake crime than there is Edomite on Jake. They don't understand the curses. They don't understand the prophecy. It doesn't justify you. You're still a devil. You're still an Edomite, and now you touch the apple of the Lord's eye. You're going to be punished for that. You're going to go into slavery. See, nobody talks about that other side. Nobody talks about, well, if you do that, what's going to happen to you? See, the Most High already going to take care of 2/3, right? The Most High is going to take care of that. But the state of this Edomite is he could do these things and then justify himself all the way through the process and get off scot-free. That's the mindset. That's the mentality that we see out here. And it coincides with what the scriptures say about this man being full of pride, all right, being envious, covetous. Anytime Esau does interact with the Israelite, he always is acting out of fear. And he really does fear us. It's not an exaggeration. He really is scared. That's why he has to carry his weapons everywhere he goes. You know? And again, that's not to excuse Jake's animalistic behavior, because yeah, Jake is out here acting like a bunch of niggas, man. It's just what it is. 2/3 ain't right, Esau ain't right, we ain't giving nobody a pass. And that's just according to the Most High, but you still have to keep things in a perspective. Esau's still a goddamn devil, he still gotta serve slavery. You know? And Jake, he's an exception, just for the simple fact that the Lord is gonna save all of his people, not necessarily on this side, but when the kingdom is established, that's for the Israelites. Even for the wicked amongst our people, they're going to be ultimately in the right state of mind, being born again into the kingdom, where they're going to be 100% righteous. And guess what? They're going to rule over all of our enemies. They're going to rule over you Edomites. They're going to rule over the heathen. So, you know, so these people have these conversations and try to have these unnecessary, you know, nonsensical debates and try to throw these partially manufactured statistics out there. But there is a biblical understanding of all of these different situations, you know? So we got the truth. These people that like to do these debates and like to throw these stats and numbers out and try to confuse people and keep people simple, especially Jake, because Jake will buy into that shit. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there is Jake Kilmore, Jake now. And then all of a sudden Esau gets a pass now. Esau gets a pass. Totally missing the point, man. Look, you gotta stay away from niggas and you gotta stay away from Edomites, boy. That doesn't mean you fucking incline now more to Esau than your own people. But that's how Jake interprets that.
This is Luke chapter 4, verse 24. Like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they shortly see your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. My children suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the power. For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, shall tread upon his neck.
Time, the table's gonna turn. That table's gonna turn, you know. Those who, of course, that are wicked, that pursue, you know, the Israelites are gonna receive that judgment that the Lord wrote and spoke of. You know, the Lord created these deeds to be the wicked, and the Lord also created them for the day of judgment. Okay? In which we're gonna also have them rightfully in slavery, you know, in captivity, where they rightfully should be, because they can't rule that up. They're the worst.
Yeah, I got a precept. This is Proverbs, real quick, 16:4. It says, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yet even the wicked for the day of evil. So that goes to your point that you just made.
Yep.
We understand why Esau was created.
Yep.
All right, we understand what his purpose is and how he is fulfilling prophecy. Now here's the next point, because it goes into what we were just speaking about as a whole. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Though hand join in hands,
Right. With you, Jake,
right,
join with the wicked.
he shall not be unpunished.
Right, so you're not going to be unpunished, okay? So it's really smart for you, Jake, to separate from your oppressor, your enemy. Grab hands to the Lord, all right? His hand is not slack that he cannot save, you know? That's what you're supposed to call cleave on. Cleave unto your nationality and identity. You being an Israelite. Cleave unto the truth, these words, and put on these righteous garments.
Man, I gotta read verse 6. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged.
Right. Mercy and truth. You know, iniquity is going to be a what? Purged?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Purged.
Purified and such, right?
Yeah.
Time.
And by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil.
Right. So it's a righteous gain for a man to depart from wickedness. That's also written in the book of Sirach. Get that barbecue shot? Sorry? Get that? Yeah, I think it's like right. I might have it. Yeah, it's in Sirach. Just look up that is a good in the sight of the Lord and the man depart from wickedness. It's like,
Yeah, Con, I got another quick one on that while he's getting that. This is Proverbs 14:16. It says, a wise man feareth and departeth from evil.
right.
It says, but the fool rageth and is confident.
Right, and that, you know, you being a foolish, that's being very proud and stuff, you know? You're seeing all this wickedness being done, all right, and you're not repenting. You know that you, of course, got sins, you know, on your hand, you got blood on your hand, and you don't even want to wash it off, going in, under the covers of Yahweh Shai.
Right.
You Jake, like you say, you won't be caught in that fire if you don't repent. I return.
Yep, it says, he that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated.
Right.
So that's basically the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's good that, you gotta be able to control your spirit, and that's something that Jake doesn't have the ability to do. Every time he gets himself into a bind or a bad situation, at his own, hands, by the way, his own behavior is what puts him in this, puts himself in these situations. And then he ends up dealing foolishly, he wants to cock an attitude, he wants to get into it, and that ultimately ends up, him being, put to death. He don't know how to deal wisely in the midst of this enemy. So you got to be able to deal wisely. When you're dealing with the enemy, you got to be able to deal wisely, knowing that we're basically behind enemy lines. We're on enemy territory, man. The oppressor seized it. We're basically bound by certain limitations when it comes to laws and stuff like that. So you gotta learn how to navigate precisely in this kingdom, man, with discretion and with wisdom. And this is twofold. Because a man of wicked devices is hated. Why do you think we hate this damn devil? Because he's full of a bunch of wicked devices. Everything he does is a wicked device, man. Meaning he's mischievous. Everything that he plans to do is a direct attack against the Israelites. Because he's envious. Because he's proud. And he's ultimately a damn fool.
This is on Ecclesiasticus chapter 35, verse 3. It says, to depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. Yeah, so it's a word, that's pleasing to the Heavenly Father. Jake sees no purpose in turning to the Lord, but us, being of the Most High putting that righteous spirit in us, we know that what we're doing is beneficial. There's a profit for it. It's not vain.
Is the book of Sirach, chapter 7, verse 1 says, do no evil, so shall no harm come unto thee. Depart from the unjust, and iniquity shall turn away from thee.
Right. That just goes into obviously fleeing the appearance of evil and stuff. It said, do not evil what? They do it come to you?
He says, do no evil, and so shall no harm come unto thee. He says, depart from the unjust, and iniquity shall turn away from thee.
Right. Jake be literally setting himself up for a lot of, of course, bad times and such by his actions and stuff.
Hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah, hanging in the wrong places. You're not going to be jogging in Edomite neighborhood. I'm going to tell you that straight. Okay? You got to know, all right, okay, this neighborhood, they don't like so-called black people. I'm not going to go and be a target. But you know that most of these neighborhoods and stuff,
Right.
they talk about, they got flags with blue on, black and blue flags, and that we support our heroes.
Yeah.
Our proud officers and stuff. That's covert racism. Okay, don't be in them neighborhoods. Okay, if anything, you find Jake in the neighborhood. A lot of the time, we just working, and we really tiptoeing around when we working, because if he see you at the door, he what you here for? That's how it is. I think of slavery. I can see the spirit in these deeds.
Right, and you got to remember, brother makes a good point. The same spirit of these, slave owners and masters and things of that nature are really the same spirit in these Edomites today.
Yep.
They don't have that wisdom.
Yeah, and I got something real quick.
Go ahead.
It tell you, keep thee far, Sirach 9 and 13. Keep thee far from the men that have power to kill. So you shouldn't really be around these E's, man. Separate your company from these E's, man. I'm not gonna be in the way where I'm jogging just for E to make up an excuse. Oh yeah, man, he definitely fit the description. I just need him because he got dark skin. He's black.
Right.
And that's it. Use wisdom when you're walking in this, in this world.
Yeah.
like it say what? Use this word but not abuse it. You be literally abusing it in a sense when you doing that type stuff, you know? I flee the appearance of evil. You know, brothers gotta do that, alright?
Yeah, it says eschew all appearances of evil.
That's right. Yeah, you still
Was it?
yeah.
Yeah, meaning to abstain from,
Uh,
to avoid, to it literally means to purposely avoid. Like, no, I ain't going around there. Nope, I ain't doing that. I ain't going over here, you know?
I can't say.
Amos 1:11. Thus saith Yahweh, the 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof,
Right.
because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tarry perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever.
Right, so he has a perpetual hatred to his brother. Who is his brother? He is, of course, Jacob, likewise, which we are so-called Latino Americans. Okay? So that he, of course, got bloody rap sheet. I'm gonna just say it like that. He got a sentence that's coming, being weighed in the balance by the Lord, Yahweh Shai, which is sins that reach up to the heavens. Okay? It's judgment time. Alright? You got more on that? Because if not, we'll get this Ezekiel's gonna go with 25 and 11. 12. Right there. They go right with it. You know, so he is that same wicked spirit that's in the serpent, alright? In the garden, the same spirit that's of course in Qayan or Cain, the spirit that slew Abel, and saying, I'm not thy brother's keeper.
I got a preset real quick.
Sorry.
This Psalms 50 and 19. I'm just, jumping down. I know that normally we start up a little bit and we go, really into it, but I just want to get to the points here. This is verse 19. It says, Thou givest, this is talking about Esau, Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit.
Right. A lot of deceit. Oh, Jake automatically, just because he's born with what? With some dark skin, a fro,
Right.
or whatever. Just our visage, just like he despises it off the jump.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, that's why he calls us black.
Right. Boy, like negative connotation.
Yeah, because really having woolly hair and dark skin are superior features.
Right.
Now, some of these Edomites know that on the surface, but some of them know it subconsciously. They be getting fucking torn up in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Oh.
walking around with farmer's tans and blisters and burnt up. And, you know what I mean? They can only take so much heat, and you know what I mean. So on a subconscious level, he knows that we are superior, right? Physically and intellectually. See, what these Edomites don't understand, they want to try to always get at Jake for lack of intelligence. Look, man, the thing of it is give a Jake all the necessary tools, right? Don't deprive him of anything, and he's going to far surpass anything, because we're the former of all things. And not hypothetically, in all actuality, these Edomites come from us, okay? Through our forefather Isaac, okay? And you have been made by the Most High the inferior seed. And like I said, consciously, some Edomites, especially the ones in the know, understand this. Some subconsciously know. As soon as they look at us, it does come with great hatred and despisement. But they know that we are the better. We are physically better. We are way more intellectual. All right, so on and so forth. They want to ultimately beat us. You got plenty of movies that show you that. Especially Get Out, right? Jake is always setting the standards for everything. But reading on, it says that thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes.
Yeah, the Lord is doing that. You know, of course, you got prophets out there, speaking His word, laying them charges against you. Okay, you're being condemned. Like your own tongue is falling upon yourself. You know, in this time, all your wickedness is being brought to light and clearly manifest. Okay, we're in a time with knowledge increasing. People looking at it like, is this the man? You know, there's that guy. He's that guy. All right, they're that one, the one. Okay, they're the workers of iniquity, the son of perdition, death. You know, so we of course are rejoicing in these times because we are going to see the fall, or we are seeing the fall of Eve.
Yeah.
The fall of this new Roman Empire, all right? The fall of the wicked, okay? And our rise, our nation being redeemed back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, back to our power, back to righteousness, to be one with, you know, everything that's here that was created for our sakes, you know? You see these heathen falling. You see, of course, us being, of course, esteemed as what we ought to be, which is the greatest people upon earth, okay?
This is Ezekiel 25 and 12. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended the revenge himself upon them.
Right, and like I was going into this story about the what's his name, Ahmad Arbery.
Arbery, yeah.
Right, you know that's I'm pretty sure he's a Judite. You know,
Right.
You know we talking about the king of Judah and Levi, but he does that because he really hates the so-called Negro. All right. You don't think that when he see us walking about or jogging, he don't think like, yeah, I had him like saying run Nigger.
Right.
Get there down, boy. What you doing out there? You know? Slavery talk. You know? They want to go back to that. What's America great again? They got Trump mask. I see they got used with Trump mask, say Trump 2020 face mask, not just a t-shirt and hat. Okay? He is angry. And you know, see, he's sitting in the house. You know his kingdom is falling. You know that he is that target. Okay? Everybody know he got money. Stacks and stacks of money. All right? That old money. Okay? So the tables are going to be turned. Read that again from the top here.
This is Ezekiel 25 and 12.
Right.
Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them.
Right. You know, and they think, like, usually when you take vengeance, that's for injury or wrong. What we done against you is, you know, other than just being here and stuff, that you stole us, okay? From, of course, you know, we was in Africa, all right, in other places and such, you know? And you, of course, we're not even talking about even leaving out what you've done to, of course, the Northern Kingdom, so-called Latin tribes and Native Americans, Seminole Indians.
Yeah, he's just a sore loser all around. Because he gave up his birthright.
God.
You know? Yeah. Because he has no integrity.
God.
You know? That's how we know that he's been made to be the man, okay, that the scriptures describe as the wicked. Alright? And the devil that the Bible speaks of. You know, you don't know how to be patient. You know, you don't have any type of reserve, except for when it's merely for ulterior motives. You know what I mean? Everything that you do is basically on the left-hand side, no matter what it is. All right, even if it appears to be good, there's some ulterior motive. You know, that is basically, you know, powering that decision. You're not doing good merely to simply do it. Come on.
This is Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but more was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically Esau, you know, there's a reason why he's called the devil, okay? devil means deceiver, okay? And Esau, you know, through his mouth, okay? You know, he just likes to breathe and a whole bunch of lies, you know? He just likes to twist a whole bunch of things up, you know? You know, lots of Edomites, you know, they come up to you, you know, fake smiling and stuff, you know? But deep down in their heart, you know, they would wish that you died, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like straight up, they feel like that.
Right. Esau had killed tens of millions of us, if not hundreds of millions of us. And then we kill a couple 100,000 of them all of a sudden because it happened, you know, yesterday. And then it means more than what they did to us throughout our history. Esau, Edom's the devil the Bible speaks of, and there's no way we can murder more Edomites with no power. The numbers from the records bear that Esau is the ultimate murderer of our people. The little bit of robberies and home invasions that Jake do against Esau is just minute compared to all the death and destruction that Esau has distributed to all the tribes from Judah all the way down to Issachar, so those black, Latinos, Native Americans. The numbers don't even, it's night and day. So when people like the brother was saying, people bring statistics, Judah, mainly you're talking about Judah, kills more Edomites than Edomites kill Judah. Well, that's within the past, 40 years? Go back to 1400s, all the way up to 1900. Esau, Edom killed hundreds of millions of our people.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't even
But
have to
they
go
try
back
to-
that far. You can go back as far as the 60s. You can all the racial segregation that was going on. And all the shit that they done from the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. I mean, they were still, sicking dogs, shooting us with fire hoses, you know, holding KKK rallies and fucking stringing Jake up, man, come on. That's why when people, so I don't mean to interrupt your spirit, it's just like when people say, well, slavery was so long ago, no, it wasn't, man.
Yeah, that's not even relevant.
Well, when they try to, obviously justify, how we should just let the past be in the past type of mentality, we're supposed to just forgive and forget, and that ties into, kind of the spirit that you're going into, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to forget what Esau's done, even though it's continually happening, right? But they'll try to minimize our concern by simply telling us to get over it. It was in the past. It was how many years ago? The world ain't like that no more.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Right.
All the evil that you put upon us absolutely destroyed us. And then the whole entire world looks at us like just nothing. And what you say to us is just, just let it go.
Like,
Right, that's witchcraft too.
Yeah.
Esau killed all these people,
Yeah.
in 16, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1900s. But then all that disappeared. But then the niggas, they're the new criminals.
Right.
Within the past 50 years.
Right.
60
Well,
years.
that's a crazy thing. I was watching Back to the Future last night, and Marty went back to November 5th, 1955, and you had the Jake that was cleaning up the ice cream store or whatever. There was a diner or whatever, and he was like, yeah, maybe one day you can become mayor. And the Jake was like, oh, I like the sound of that, mayor. And then I don't forget, it was a white woman or the owner, the Edomite owner was like a colored mayor, like scoffed and shit, man. That's just in the 50s, because that's how they thought. You mean tell me that thought, that way of thinking, it's just gone. What? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
it's not that long ago. So during that time, you want to get technical, maybe specific.
Right.
You had more Edomites outwardly killing Jake than Jake killing Esau.
Setting them up, yeah.
Right, that's not the only form of destruction.
Yeah, true.
You got, the main thing is Esau lying to Jacob about their identity.
Right.
Who they really are, according to the scriptures, according to what Yahweh Shai gave us, which is our birthright. Our birthright, we're the sons of Jacob.
Right.
Yeah.
All the Jakes that were killed in these Edomite wars, these are Edomite wars, man.
Yeah.
That they drafted Jake's simple ass got up and caught up in. And like the brother said, slaughtering us by taking away our heritage.
It says Psalms 10 and 9 says he lieth and waits secretly as a lion in his den, lieth in wait to catch the poor, he doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. So Esau, the amount of murders you committed against Jacob is totally eclipses anything that we can do to you today. All right, and to say it doesn't matter is proof that you're not taking accountability for your actions. All right, and 2/3 of Israel, they're going to continue to be degenerates anyway. They still can't do as much evil against you than you're doing against us. It's literally impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you're known as the murderer. Jake ain't known as the murderer.
Right.
You're known as the murderer because the murders that you commit. Hey, look, not even just against Jake, against the whole world. Like the brothers used the phrase eclipses. All right, the word eclipses. It far exceeds what Jake could possibly do. We're talking on a global scale. You know, you want to talk about crime? Esau be committing those crimes globally. Global theft, global murder. You kidding me?
He's going to do all this wickedness, but he's going to try to justify all the wickedness. And people actually accept, you should have said things, well, I had to do it because of the betterment of this, or I have to do it because of the betterment of that. And then that's pure witchcraft for people to just say, oh, okay, so you should do whatever you want. So people taking his side after all the evil that he does.
Yeah, and the argument is because it's currently right now for the past 40 years, 50 years, Jake is killing more Edomites. That's death. You talk total crimes, it's still again eclipses back to the Esau being the actual criminal.
Right.
But you're doing the murders, and then that's the one that they report that we know about.
Right. Yeah, what about the different child abductions that happens, every day, every day, every month, every year, and they happen to be Israelites. A lot of these Edomites literally are kidnapping Israelite children to, commit their sacrifices to these different demons and gods.
Yeah, he still did all the murders he committed, the hundreds of millions of murders he committed against Israel. He hadn't even paid for them yet.
Right.
So
That's
you can't.
huge.
There's no reset point.
Right.
So you can't say, oh, well, 1905 don't matter.
Yeah.
1950, 1875 don't matter. 1962 don't matter because Esau didn't even pay for all the crimes from 1492 to I guess whatever that Jake started committing more crimes.
And it's crazy because you had like Edomites like Stephen Crowder that, and he's set up, to a certain degree he's set up because you can have an argument where one side talks about the social and systemic racism that is apparent in this country, right? Socially, systemically, meaning in the system, meaning, obviously Jakes are not necessarily afforded the same rights. That's why you have expressions first fired, last hired. You know what I mean? Even though we're completely qualified, even though they have in their policies they're not supposed to discriminate, obviously they still do, and they have the power to be able to do those things. The counter argument is to then rationalize, let's say, certain programs that are afforded to so-called minorities that Edomites, right, don't have, or white people don't have, and so therefore that just kind of undoes systemic and social oppression that Jake goes through. Okay, like these different programs where if Jake, let's say, isn't able to afford it, or they'll be given certain grants. Okay, because you give us certain levels of money to go to your schools, all of a sudden somehow eliminates systemic and social oppression. You know what I mean? And that really, these programs were again designed to destroy Jake. You know what I mean?
These are all just deception tactics.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Deceitful works by the oppressor.
Yeah, to integrate Jake into the system for the control.
Exactly.
Jacob, through payments, subject to payments. The scriptures say about making Jacob subject to payments. Because we get the loans and everything, but we still.
So the argument is, the argument then becomes, okay, you want to argue about systemic and social racism within the system, but what about these programs that are specifically offered to minorities? That's not racist. Like now, that's the argument. And that's just moving the goalposts, because you are totally eliminating legitimate issues that happen within this society that has been built to cater the Edomites and totally oppress Jacob. You don't want to have that argument. You don't want to have that argument. You want to argue whether or not this is as racist as this, when the whole system itself has been designed to destroy Jacob. We were brought over into captivity. We know that. Scriptures tell you that. We've been brought here to serve punishment. And the fact that we have to come to our enemy in one of all things is further punishment. Okay? So I don't care what this Edomite tries to offer us. If we have to go to our oppressor for these things, we're still in captivity. All right?
Yeah, just because time passes does not mean that it's good. Like we said earlier, basically, Esau, he didn't pay for all the stuff he did. You know, there's a lot of evil that he spread, and a lot of destruction that's, you know, that he messed up the earth with.
Right.
And then there was no rebuilding out there. You know?
All right.
So he destroyed the entire earth. It's a bunch of mess all over.
Right.
And he says just because it's been a long time, this mess is cleaned up.
Yeah, think about it.
Still your face.
The brother made a good point about us being destroyed because, you know, we don't have our heritage. So when Esau came over here and he brought us, you know, Judah and Levi over here in cargo slave ships, he destroyed Gad and the, you know, different northern kingdom tribes that was here in South, North, South, and Central America. What did they use? They used Christianity. So that was a destructive force. And then when these things were rebuilt through our blood, sweat, and tears, by the way, you know, as the saying goes, they then, you know, instituted laws to govern us, right? And then we had no choice but to basically assimilate, because where were we going to go? Where were we going to go? So we already destroyed because we didn't have our heritage. Everything was replaced with, you know, slavery, you know, plantation Christianity, as the apostles would say. Okay? And so now here we've been integrated in society again that has been created to destroy. But because they offer us certain social programs, we're supposed to be grateful. And all of a sudden we're not suffering at the hands of the oppressor. All of a sudden, you know, that's equally as racist as all the shit that all the hell Jake has been cashing since he's been brought over here in cargo slave ships. And then the only response to that is if you don't like it, go somewhere else. Where can we go where the devil isn't trying to get his dirty, filthy, freaking paws in? So what's the solution to that? The solution is obviously he has to be taken out the way. And again, the brother mentioned that we read in that Psalms 50 about how I will set them in order before thine eyes. See, now we know, we're able to see both sides of the argument, and we can scripturally, you know, destroy all the counterpoints and rationalization that this Edomite tries to do to try to keep that deception going. We see it, and that's part of his downfall. Is the Israelites coming back into that heritage and the truth of who they are. That's the beginning of his downfall. And we're not even in the beginning of his downfall no more. We're at the very end of his rulership.
Pretty fun. This is Daniel 9 and 12 says, and he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil, for under the whole heaven had not been done as he had done upon Jerusalem. All right, so Jacob had been murdered by Edomites for hundreds of years. All right, and the little bit of numbers, the statistics that certain unintelligent, scripturally unintelligent, you know, Israelites bring out is not going to stand up to when Yahushua comes back and burns America completely to nothing. All right. Yahushua said that he was going to avenge his very elect. All right. So Esau and Edom's not going to escape the judgment, because Esau has not been judged yet for all of his murders and all of his crimes. All right. Falsifying the balances, creating a fictitious money system,
Right.
Put the whole world under kind of Federal Reserve central banking system. We can't go anywhere on the earth without using the central banking system.
Yeah.
All right. What we want is to be completely free of Esau and Edom's control. So that means Esau and Edom has to be taken completely down from power.
Right.
So it doesn't matter where we go. All right. So if we go to Ghana or Nigeria, we still have to use the central bank. You still have to use. You still have to. They contract with Edomites.
Yeah.
You know, to trade. You know. We still we had
To travel, to trade.
Yeah. In order to stand up against his military machine, we had to equip ourselves with the same exact military. So we're not going to do that because Yahweh Shai didn't put that in our spirit. He put it in our spirit for us to be prophets and to prophesy downfall. It's not written in the scripture that we're going to have a great military power equivalent to Esau. But the Lord said we were going to be poor and needy, and that's the prophecy we're fulfilling out. The Lord didn't say that we were going to go and start another kingdom on our own accord. You know, go back to the land of Israel, go back to West Africa, and start a kingdom and have this great technology that can meet Esau. You know, the Lord said they'll be poor and needy, and then He said, and Yahweh is going to completely destroy Esau and take him out of power. That's the way it's going to go. So if we don't like it, what we're going to do is we're going to continue to preach Esau's destruction, his kingdom falling, as it's written in Revelation 18th chapter. It's in Babylon is falling, which means destroyed. So that's what we're going to do if we don't like it. And that's not even a damn valid argument. We don't like it.
Yeah, kind of quick precept on the evil of this Edomite. Real quick, this is Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
Right, and the ones that don't like it are the main ones are the prophets, because we can actually see all the evil that Esau Edom is doing. And we don't want to be integrated with Edomites, with Esau. All right, well, that's the 2/3 that want to fight for civil rights and to be equal and all that shit. We don't want to be equal. You tell that shit to what's called the black conscious community, black power people that want to be integrated with Edomites. You tell that to them, they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. Our job is to prophesy destruction of Babylon. You got Israelites that are catching hell in other parts of the world.
I got another quick precept for you. This is Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Not equal.
All right, yes, we don't want to be equal with Edomites. So if you want to be equal with Edomites, I mean, that's the proper state of mind for 2/3 of someone that's not informed, not for an elect person in Israel.
Right.
We don't want to be doing we fulfilling prophecy. That's what we want to do. We're supposed to not like it and continue here in Babylon. For the brothers that are in Babylon, you got brothers that are elsewhere, that in the situations that they don't like, they have to still be ruled, be under the control of Edomites.
Right.
Because you have to be within the banking system, and the military system, and the bad environment that Edom puts out, the chemtrails,
Right.
all the world's fish are poisoned with fucking mercury. Edom did that shit.
Yeah.
So we can do to escape Esau. If we don't like it, we gotta move to another fucking plane.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's true words right there.
Good.
Yeah, this is Micah 2:2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. And that's even through the banking system, man. It's not just the military, the police come and do a civil forfeiture on you or eminent domain, which they can and they have, right? Dropping bombs on Jake's neighborhoods and stuff like that. It ain't just that. They literally get you in debt with the banking system, and then when you can't afford to pay, they gonna just violently kick you up out of there, and they gonna give it right to somebody else to make even more money. They already got their money, but they're gonna make even more money and these houses are decrepit. They're not built with the necessary materials needed to withstand the elements and the different being at balance with nature. So you got all these pests and infestations, and the foundations are fucking crumbling, the walls are moving and shifting and sinking in, and they want to fucking try to charge you top dollar for some shit that's been built in the fucking 1900s, the 50s, the 60s, or even older. Some of these homes are even older than that. Decrepit, made with inferior material, but they want to charge you all this outrageous amount of money. You got to get a loan from the bank. You get a 15-year, maybe a 30-year loan. You get a 30-year because you want the payments to be as low as possible. But then you're in debt for 30 years. Something ends up happening to you. This is the life that you live under the oppression of the Edomite. where you're not, there is no assurity of your life, man. There is no, and it's literally, it's like the brother mentioned about this evil, wicked Federal Reserve. It has been specifically designed to keep you in debt. That's why one thing that you do can cost you your home, your car, and everything else. You know, and then you got these demons that Esau constantly promote to get you to consume unnecessary shit that you don't need. He's not promoting good habits in his kingdom, and he's not supposed to, because he's the devil. That's why under his dominion it says people mourn. Everybody in mourning, man, even his own damn people. Anyway, it's lucky for that spiritual rant, but that's how we live, man. Having no assurity of our lives. This is Micah 2:2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and they take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man in his heritage. And I believe you said you wanted to make a point.
Oh yeah, I was gonna add to, like, you know, what Calvin was saying and what you were saying as well. Like, there's nowhere you can go. Like, the whore of Babylon and Esau, who uses the whore, like, it has made all the nations drunk. So there's nowhere you can go in this world. Like brother said, you have to go to a whole other planet. But even then, you can't go to a whole other planet because, you know, Esau is basically the devil, and we can't do that, right? That's not. It wasn't made for us to do that. But let's play devil's advocate, right? Say you wanted to go to another country, you can't do that, man, because Esau's philosophy, Esau's wine has went through all the nations. So you can't.
You're gonna have to get through him to get to space anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. But you can't live a life of righteousness no matter where you go, because there's wickedness surrounding you, and like you can't buy your own land, right? I can't go to another state and buy my own land because it's all, you know, Esau's taxing and, you know, has his certain rules and regulations of what you can and cannot do. You know, you can't, like, you know, find a piece of land that's not somewhat owned, right? Because if you become your own so-called country, you know, the Esau and these other nations, like the foreign nations, the NATO, the EU, all those things have come to confederacy with each other, basically, you know. So there's nothing you can do. Okay? The point is, the wine has spread, okay? Esau has given all the nations to drink of that wine, so there's nowhere we can go on the planet Earth until Esau's been taken out.
Right, so they shouldn't be saying if you don't like it in America. They're saying if you don't like it on the earth, then you should find somewhere else.
Exactly, yeah. That's the point, yeah, exactly.
Not just in America.
Right.
You just happen to live in America, that's what we say.
Right, and people say it so arrogantly, but we know that it doesn't matter where we go, Esau, his wine is spread all over, man. All the nations drank of it, man. All the nations are in confederacy with Esau.
I don't know.
Oh, he got new ones?
Where am I gonna go? Puerto Rico?
Right.
Look what Esau did to the Puerto Ricans,
They
man.
got Cesare Borgia.
Yeah. Where am I gonna go back? Where am I gonna go back to the Middle East? Look what Esau did to the Middle East, man. There ain't nowhere you can go,
You
man.
got a bunch of Muslims in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, the earth is destroyed.
And you can't escape the wicked. That's ultimately, like, I want to escape this wickedness, but you can't escape it, man. The only way that wickedness is going to be escaped until when the Lord comes and destroys it, sets order aright.
Yeah, we're not asking Esau to help us.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We're not
We don't even
begging
need
Esau
the news.
for grants and loans. You know, if you give them out, we take them, but we're not begging them for them.
Yeah.
You know, and asking to petition it to the government to have mercy on us. No, we know that the Lord Yahushua is going to make Esau help us to a point, you know, and then the Lord Yahushua is going to destroy him. There's going to come a time when the benefits is going to cut off, the chip's going to come out, and you got to take the chip to receive those benefits. The elect are not going to do that. They're not going to exchange the benefits for that chip. And then the Lord Yahushua is going to destroy Babylon and destroy all the power structures that Esau has set up on the island.
Right, right.
Yeah,
How much is it?
It's Revelation 11 and 19. And the temple of the power was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testimony, and there were lightnings.
Yeah, you see how they gonna do it. I think we did it.
That's not really get short.
It only take a little bit in them other, topics.
All right, this is, and the nations were angry, Revelation 11:18. The nations were angry, and thy wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward to thy servants the prophets and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Can.
So it's not just Babylon that we have issue with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have issue with the murders. Yeah, we have an issue with the bad loans. Yeah, we have an issue with the racism and segregation when it comes to buying certain homes in certain areas. You know, they kind of want to steer you clear from buying certain homes. That's not just happening in America, it's happening all around the world. So we hate all of that. So you can't just, you're not just saying just America, you're saying Esau's complete power structure.
Yeah.
How about all the animals that went extinct or damn near or at least endangered under his rulership because of poachers and hunting and, you know, illegally so-called killing these animals.
Well, killing them down to a number that's evil.
Yeah,
you know,
endangered.
Buffalo.
Right.
You know, almost killed the damn buffalo in America.
Yep.
To damn near extinction.
Yep, we're against foreign policy, right? That's not just
Right.
you know
It's
what I
not
mean?
just America, it's just in America. That's things that happen outside of America,
Yeah,
which they have dominion over.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't go outside of America and be free from the damn devil. So that's not even a valid statement.
Right.
You just say, oh, if you don't like it, leave. That's, I mean, it's not just things that are going on in America that we don't like. It's Esau being power that we don't like.
Exactly.
Was this the precept when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice? That's the only way we're going to actually start rejoicing. That's the only way we're going to stop when you people say you're bitching, right? Oh, stop bitching, go, you know, if you don't like it, leave.
Well, the Lord said that we complain unto him continually.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the economy.
For all the unrighteous.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's the only way we'll be at peace of mind and content when there's righteousness restored in the earth. Precept.
Just do the rest or just say it.
This is 2 Peter chapter 3. I'll get right on the point. It says 2 Peter 3 and 10, or 3 and 13. It says, nevertheless, we according to his promise look for new heaven and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace without spot and blameless.
And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for equal rights in America. We're not looking for equal rights in Britain and Germany. We're looking for the Lord, the House to completely destroy Esau from all the kingdoms that are on the earth. That's what we want. That's what we want. Because when you said it, it was 11 words.
And if I can make the point, all right, the word diligence, right, that's what we're doing, man. We're getting diligent. We know the word for diligence is careful and persistent work and effort. So we're not. The scripture didn't say that to go to another country, to go to another land. It says be diligent. So, and part of our diligence is what do you call bitching, right? It says what is that? Sign 5 for the abomination to be done in the midst thereof, right? So when you call bitching, that's our diligence, right? Sign and cry to the Lord for all the abominations that be done. Calling Esau out for the wickedness in the transgression that he continually commits, right? That's our due diligence. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, we have to suffer these things as part of our endurance.
Yeah. It says,
and that's just until the Most High take him out of the way. And the Most High getting ready to take this man out of the way.
yeah. It says, therefore we love seeing that you look for such things, right? Which is that new heaven and new earth, where it's, and that doesn't, so we're gonna look for a new country, all right? We're looking for a new heaven and a new earth, man. Where it dwells righteousness. That's not right now when Esau's in power, okay? Like we have, I say it all the time. Like you have these other guys in other camps. They basically try to establish Israel's kingdom in Esau's kingdom. No, man, it's not about marrying and getting marriage and establishing Israel's kingdom in Esau's world. It's about establishing our kingdom in Yahweh Shemashai's world, the world to come, Jacob's world, right? Where all righteousness will grow. That's what it's all about. But we're not trying to. Nothing's good here, man. And everything is subpar. And even if we try to, and the brother said it in the comment board, when we tried to do the Black Wall Street, that shit got shut down, man. And it's not meant to be that way. It's not meant for us to have any type of how do you say?
Rest.
Yeah, rest, independence, any type of status or what do you say?
Our basket.
What's that S word I'm thinking of? Success.
Stability?
Yeah, success in this kingdom, man.
You gotta be a part of the bottom fraction of the financial market.
It's like, let me put it like this. Remember, this is a punishment, right? And I read Root 4 earlier, right? if you read group 4 from the beginning on down, it would put it in perspective. If you granted your son to his room, and he has his PlayStation in there, he has his phone in there, he has all his games in there, is it really a punishment? You know, you go in there, you're in there laughing, playing the game. What are you gonna do? You're going to fucking take that game away. Because you know that he's supposed to be on punishment, he's supposed to be on timeout. So the moment Jake starts making a little bit, what does he do? He humbles you, he puts you down. Right? Look what he did to Kobe Bryant. And he's gonna do more of that to you people, man, because you're out here, alright, chucking a job for Esau, maybe need your rest, and the Lord's gonna bring you down for that, right? And those that are suffering for righteousness' sake and suffering for a greater reward, that's who's gonna receive a greater salvation, right? That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, kind of. Nothing we really can't, we'll never attain progress here, no matter what we do.
Yeah.
So we'll always be on the
What would be niggas and spits and wetbacks, right? And fucking drunkard Native American Indians, right? That's all we'll be.
That's why the Lord trying to choose out a people for himself, elect within his people, and then America, the kingdom, different kingdoms, whatever, they're going to be destroyed. That's why the Lord, was elected, Lord, us, and not other brothers and sisters, to be this special people out of the whole of Israel. So we're the ones that are going to refine this silver and gold, and going to deliver us out of heaven. But that's going to be our salvation. That's going to be in heaven. That's it.
The only thing that I feel like I'm missing here is the allspice. Yeah.
Which is granted mischief by a law.
Granted mission by a law. What you saw, he currently, he's mandating, 14-day quarantine if he comes from another state, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
You got border cities from different states. It's so stupid.
Just like this, they made the fucking toll sorry, not to cut you off, but just like that, they made it toll with cashless, right? So like, when you put that in perspective, that's just how quick Esau can push that shit. The blink of an eye, chicken, just like that, just by one little thing. The coronavirus, right? Cause people to not do cash, cause people to do something on social distancing, cause all these things to happen,
And I looked up the word mandate, somebody probably did it before me, it literally means to give, to submit to the hand or something.
Yeah, beef is one of those things you gotta
Submit to the hand.
really season for it to absorb it and beef. It's not like chicken.
Mandates, precursors to mandatory.
I just need to open up that chili powder. That chili powder ain't open yet.
It's actually something to do with the hand. Submit to the hand. Alright? So, Esau, even his agenda is definitely put in that shit. That's good. Good up. Good up. Alright, so I guess we'll close it out. Praise Yahweh, all praise to Yahweh.
Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rakakadash.
God minds the elders of the Prophet Millstone. Bashem, Rakakadash. Blessings, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.